Jake's a 31-year-old carpenter on $80,000 a year. And for 4 years he assumed his super was being paid like everyone else's. It wasn't. His boss had quietly skipped it, leaving roughly $28,000 missing from his fund before he ever noticed. And Jake is far from alone. In 2022-23, an estimated 3.3 million Australians missed out on $5.7 billion in super, according to the Super Members Council. Today I'll show you 3 free moves, confirm you're entitled, match what should have been paid, and lodge a report to get it back. Let that number sink in. $5.7 billion in a single year, averaging about $1,030 per affected worker. Super Members Council 2024. But here's the part nobody tells you. More than 80% of that unpaid super is never recovered, which can mean around $30,000 less in retirement. So here are the 3 moves we'll walk through. Confirm you're entitled to super, match your expected contributions against what's actually paid, then lodge an unpaid super report. Each one takes under 30 minutes and every tool is free. The first problem is simple but brutal: unpaid or underpaid super guarantee from employers. By law, your boss must pay super into your fund within 28 days of the end of each quarter, and the ATO oversees that obligation. When they miss it, the shortfall becomes a tax debt called the super guarantee charge, but almost nobody checks their fund to catch it early. Here's what that looked like for Jake. On $80,000 a year at an average 11% rate, about $8,800 should have hit his fund annually, roughly $35,200 over 4 years, ATO. Instead, his fund saw only about $7,000 across that whole period, leaving a shortfall of around $28,200. The second problem is what that missing money does over time. Every dollar not paid loses decades of investment returns, not just the contribution itself. The Super Members Council found more than 80% of unpaid super goes unrecovered, and workers miss about $5 billion a year, around $1,810 each on average. And here's the part that should make you act. If Jake does nothing, that $28,200 never reaches his fund, and at a conservative 5% real return over 34 years, that's roughly $155,000 gone by retirement, illustrative modelling. But if he reports it, the ATO raises a charge, and the shortfall plus 10% nominal interest lands back in his super. Now the myth that stops most tradies cold: I'm a contractor, so my boss doesn't owe super. The fact is, many tradies labelled contractors are still employees for super purposes and are legally entitled to it. And the ATO can chase up to 4 years of unpaid super through the super guarantee charge. So let's put both costs side by side. Jake's net unpaid super was about $28,000, ATO data, and left to compound a way that's roughly $155,000 missing from his retirement by age 65. Against the average $30,000 shortfall the Super Members Council warns about, a sustained 4-year gap costs 5 times more. Let's meet Jake properly. He's 31, a qualified carpenter working for a small building company on $80,000 a year, with about $45,000 sitting in an industry super fund, mostly from previous jobs. He's got 34 years until retirement, and his current boss has been paying super irregularly. Here's what he found when he finally checked. Discovery 1. The raw shortfall. Using the ATO's estimate, my super calculator, Jake worked out his SG over 4 years should have been about $35,200 ATO. But his fund's transaction history showed only around $7,000 from this employer, a gap of about $28,200, far above the $130 average underpayment the Super Members Council found. Discovery 2. The charge makes the boss pay more, not less. When the ATO raises a super guarantee charge, it adds 10% nominal interest per year on each quarter's shortfall, plus $20 per quarter in admin fees, ATO. And if the employer fails to lodge on time, penalties can reach 200% of the unpaid sum. Discovery 3 was the most sobering. If Jake does nothing, that shortfall compounding at 5% over 34 years means roughly $155,000 less at retirement, illustrative modelling. But if it's recovered, he gets the $28,200 plus several thousand in nominal interest back into his fund. ATO acting fast is a 6-figure decision. Add it all up, and Jake's 4 years of missed super could cost him around $155,000 by retirement from just $28,200 of unpaid contributions. That's based on a conservative 5% real return compounding over 34 years to age 65. It's illustrative modelling, not an ATO figure, but the math is unforgiving. So could this be you? Ask yourself 3 things. You've never matched your payslips against what's actually landed in your super. You don't know whether you count as an employee or a contractor for super, and you haven't seen a quarterly super payment hit your account in years. If any of those ring true, the next 3 moves are for you. Right, let's turn this into action. These 3 moves take Jake's hidden debt and convert it into real retirement savings, and they cost you nothing but half an hour. We'll confirm you're entitled to super, match what should have been paid against what was, then lodge a report so the ATO can chase it down. Move 1 is to confirm you're actually entitled to super on every job. Go to the ATO's Am I Entitled to Super Unit tool and enter your work arrangement, whether you're an employee or contractor, your hours and how you're paid. As an adult earning over $200 a week, you should generally be getting SG on your ordinary time earnings. Here's how. Open the ATO Am I Entitled to Super tool. Enter your hours, pay method and arrangement, then screenshot the result and check it against your contract. What good looks like. The result confirms super is owed on your ordinary time earnings. Move 2 is to match your expected super against what was actually paid. Use the ATO's Estimate My Super calculator to work out what should have gone in each of the last 4 years, then log into your super funds portal and download your contribution history. Compare the two and list every quarter that's short or missing. Step by step, enter each year's earnings into Estimate My Super. Download your fund's contribution history and flag any quarter that's short or missing. What good looks like. Each quarter's contribution roughly equals the SG rate times your ordinary time earnings, credited within 28 days of quarter end. Move 3 is the one that recovers the money. Lodge an unpaid super report so the ATO can pursue your employer. Gather your payslips, contract and fund statements, then log into MyGov, link the ATO, and open the Unpaid Superannuation section. Submit the employer details, dates, and estimated shortfall, and the ATO will investigate. Here's how to lodge it. Gather your payslips, contract and fund statements, log into MyGov, and link the ATO. Then complete the unpaid super report and submit it. What good looks like. The ATO confirms a super guarantee charge has been raised against your employer. And timing matters because the rules are shifting fast. Back in 2020-21, the ATO published a 5.1% net gap, $3.6 billion in unpaid super. From 1st July 2025, the SG rate rises to 12% on all wages paid after that date. And from 1 July 2026, payday super begins, forcing employers to pay super every payday. But remember, the ATO can still only chase 4 years back. After you act, here's how to know it worked. You should see an ATO letter confirming a super guarantee charge was raised against your employer. Confirm the shortfall plus 10% nominal interest is credited to your fund. And if contributions start arriving on time, your quarterly payments will now show up in your portal. Everything I've quoted today comes from the ATO, the Australian Government's Impact Analysis, and the Super Members Council, and you'll find every link in the description below. Have a read for yourself. This stuff is your money, and it pays to verify it. So today, you learned how to spot, calculate and recover unpaid super using free ATO tools, a skill that could be worth tens of thousands. Next week, I'll show you how to track down lost super hiding in old accounts you've completely forgotten about. If this helped you, do one thing for me. Hit subscribe so the next person who's quietly losing their super finds this too. We read the fine print so you don't have to, and there's a new one every week.